I'm curious how you started the relationship with Rihanna. Did you have a connection to her, or 6 degrees of connection? I mean, how did you get her?
Actually, I mean, one of the things that is the other hallmark of all of our makeup of all of our spokespeople is they love makeup. And so I was actually part of the first meeting where Rihanna came in with actually a group of her very good friends, and they brought in a ton of makeup. And she really just spent, I mean, at the end of it, I mean, I was really happy to be with Rihanna, but at the end of it, it was like, you know, I gotta get home for dinner. And she loves makeup, and she loved MAC. So we sort of approached each other. And as the campaign has gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, honestly, it is now in many ways I think it's for many of the spokespeople an introduction to philanthropy. So if you saw, Cyndi Lauper has the True Colors Fund, which is for gay and lesbian youth. Lady Gaga now has a big anti-bullying effort. And many of these efforts are launched after they do their Viva Glam spokespersonship. So I think for them, it adds a philanthropy dimension to what they're doing, and for us, honestly, it sells a whole mess of lipstick. So it was a mutual. We sort of went steady for a little while and then got married. What's different about Rihanna was that we did a commercial line first. As I said, she really loves makeup. It was Riri Woo, was a red color that sold out online in about an hour. So, yes, sir. A man is asking a question. How fabulous. What color lipstick am I wearing? Is that the...
I can't even see your lipstick.
Oh.
But coming from...
Occasionally they let me put it on myself. Not often, but...
Coming from a business background, if I understand what you were talking about, Viva Glam and your business model, your cost of goods sold line is 0 because, is it Frank and Frank makes it for you and then gives it to you? If you could talk about
sure.
and of course that raises the question, so what's in it for Frank and Frank other than a line deduction of their, you know, they give away all this product and it's a nice deduction on their income statement?
Right. Great question. So it's what we in business call ROI, return on investment. So it's true, the company pays for the making of the lipstick and the selling of the lipstick. We do make the lipstick in our own plant in Canada. Actually, it's funny because... I'm sorry? Well, Frank and Frank have since sold the business to Estee Lauder. Many of the original employees are still there. So it's basically a MAC plant or an Estee Lauder plant in Canada makes the lipstick, but there's still a lot of cost associated with that. In terms of the business and what the business gets out of it is a couple of things. One is when I was in law school, I used to call it the warm, fuzzy feeling in tort law. But basically, the good feeling, as I was mentioning about crossing the street, that you're actually doing something, which I think is meaningful to corporations and brands as well as to people. And the employees, what we've seen is we have a much higher employee retention rate than any other makeup company. And that's a big expense for a makeup company like ours, because the big cost, as folks probably know, is training and retaining people. And at the end of the day, the differentiator for MAC as a brand is our makeup artists. Because, I believe we have the best products, but really what helps is that the MAC makeup artists are so good, they will tell you honestly whether you need a product or you don't need a product. And then we've taken a look at other issues, which are who buys Viva Glam? Who is the Viva Glam customer? And what we've seen is the Viva Glam customer is a much more loyal customer. And what the spokesmodels do, honestly, is they bring what's called traffic to the counter and new to brand customers. So Rihanna fans may never have bought a MAC lipstick before, but they're gonna buy it because Rihanna is saying this is a great lipstick, this is a great cause. Then the question is, how many of those customers do we retain as MAC customers? And that's a very high number. And then the last thing is, companion sales. So basically, most cosmetic companies have what they call gift with purchase, which I think is a little bit like crack, because you start to buy, you know, then you never want to buy the stuff unless you get a big bag of other stuff. I never understand how the math works on that. But for us at MAC, we don't do gift with purchase. We do what I call good with purchase. We have Viva Glam. So basically, the question is, what do you buy with Viva Glam? And what we've seen is people buy basically 2.5 times of other stuff, and that's because our makeup artists are so good and the product is so good. So it actually is a business driver in a marketing sense. But it's a great question.
Over here.
So it is actually, over here, all right.
Is it
I thought you were going to ask that question. I love that hat. I really feel like I should have wore a hat today.
Me too. Hi, I think you touched on it briefly just before, but...
I'm going to make you stand up.
Oh, okay.
With your big voice.
Okay, hold on. And I hope I don't spill my coffee. I spilled the orange juice earlier.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's not the library, no.
No,
Where's
exactly.
Jason?
Exactly. I work in advertising, I'll be completely honest, and I just wanted to get your perspective on this whole concept of cause marketing and reputation management, and the fact that some brands just are doing charity or you're finding causes that they don't necessarily support around the organisation. Do you have any examples? I mean, that was what I was most impressed about, the fact that 100% of the lipstick goes to the fund, which is great. Have you any other examples of companies that are doing it well, like people who?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
First of all, as I said, cause-related marketing this preceded cause-related marketing. I think in a lot of ways cause-related marketing is terrific. Some of my best friends are marketers because, at the end of the day, as I was mentioning, there's a lot of good to do in the world, and we have to figure out how to get corporations to be part of that good. I remember actually when I used to work at God's Love, we would have staff retreats, and one person would say, I don't like that, that's really corporate. And finally, somebody who used to work at a corporation said, what do you mean by that? Like, what's bad about corporate? So I don't think there's anything bad about corporations doing good work. In fact, at the end of the day, if corporations don't do good work, then we're never going to solve any of these problems. So for instance, Coca-Cola does a lot of great work with their workers in Africa around HIV. We don't have large workforces in most countries that are affected, so we don't do it that way. So one is cause-related marketing is good. Two is it's hard. There's a big movement led by Michael Porter and some other people around what's called shared value, which basically means you create value for the company, which is what I'm talking about, and you create value for the world. The difficult part, which is what we live every day, is how do you actually live that and implement that? How against budget cuts do you defend the Viva Glam against other things? Now, the good news for us is Viva Glam is never on the table. What's harder is when brands start earlier efforts. I'm actually lucky enough, I also work with Joe Malone, and we've just launched a candle that we're raising for urban gardens. And I'll tell you, that candle is flying off the shelves because the staff believes in it and it's a great product and it's a great cause. So there's a lot of good work to do. Companies that I admire, Ben & Jerry's has always done very good work. Body Shop has always done great work. Aveda, one of our sister brands, does awesome work. Honestly, Avon, through their breast cancer work, they sell through their business folks. Basically, each country creates a product. My hope, honestly, is that as we move forward, people who do what I do in companies can be more transparent because we're all, I remember the first day I was a lawyer, my dad's a lawyer, I called him up, I was a law clerk, and I said, Dad, don't know what I'm doing. And he said to me, make it up. Everybody's making it up. I said, really? So to some extent, we're all kind of making this up, and I think we would make it up a lot better if we did it together. So hopefully, we'll be more transparent about that. The other is, you all make a difference. People notice who buys Viva Glam. People notice who write in, who, I say, I love Viva Glam. So I would really, get busy. Look at the companies that you buy stuff from. Are they doing something? If you like it, great. If you want them to do something, tell them.
Just as a follow-up, the Coke example, how do you feel about companies that are perceived or demonized for something, then suddenly turning around and saying they're doing good work? Are you cynical about that, or do you believe it?
Well, as I mentioned, President Clinton always says, if the money is on the table, I'm not going to, just like another human being, if I'm going to help the lady across the street, somebody else might help her across the street for a quote-unquote bad reason. They helped him across the street. So I think, you have to kind of, I think we kind of get in trouble when we kind of take somebody else's moral inventory. It's like, you do what you do. And
Thank you.
all right, we're rocking with questions here. Who's got that mic?
I got it.
Oh.
Well, you said earlier that Viva Glam is going to raise about 42 million this year.
Yep. Run out there today and buy that Viva Glam.
I don't know if you can share these numbers, but it would be great. What is MAC going to go for in 2014? And I think what would also be very interesting to hear is what is the general marketing budget of MAC apart from Viva Glam? I think as such a successful company, this would give a really interesting guideline for other businesses, how they can use marketing expense for great causes and actually impacting causes that are coming out of the environment of the brand.
Yeah, this is actually a great question and a question that we're trying to answer. The marketing budget, I'm not in charge of marketing, but MAC, as I mentioned, doesn't do a lot of marketing. Only very recently around mascara. I don't know if you guys travel a lot or go to airports. There's been a little more advertising, but we're basically a word of mouth brand. So we have a very small marketing budget. And in fact, one of the things that sometimes, to the extent that I feel like we could be doing something better, I think if we had more money to translate what we do, we could do that better. So I honestly don't have the figures, but I think if you're looking for a cause marketing model, we wouldn't be it, because we don't actually market. What we do find is bloggers, digital, basically that's where there's most traction for this kind of work. The other is the 100% model is really, my boss always says, keep it simple, stupid. It's very clear. Where I think it's harder for cause marketing is when you start talking about a portion of the net proceeds. Like, what a portion of the net proceeds, like, what does that mean? And that goes to the question of, like, you're paying for the cost of goods, you're paying for this. So I think the clarity to the consumer is really important, and the genuineness of the effort so that your employees understand it as well.
I think we need to wrap up.
No, really?
Can we give a hand for Nancy?
Big shout out to Swiss Miss. Thanks for creating this. When I was asking Andy Prey what this event, who's my press guru who lives in the real world a little more than me, and I said, well, what is Creative Mornings? And he said, well, it's a little bit like TED without the bullshit. So I think you guys have really come through on that.